Let's go!
We just had the Tokon beta conclude, like, not that long ago, and there's a couple of things in it that sort of, like, brought me back, reminded me of the past, and some things that triggered some memories in previous fighting games, and also, like, several others that have happened over the past few years where there are certain things in fighting games that are either aggravating or frustrating when they happen time and time again. And I have, like, the top 3 things that really get to me, that really get on my nerves with fighting games in general. I think it's worth discussing. The one that is obviously, like, on everybody's mind because we just had a game where a whole bunch of folks got to experience it. This is a weird thing that works this way, is auto combos, right? And I am not naturally an anti-auto combo person. I think there should be a general combo that you can do in a fighting game that lets new players just mash on something and see a cool thing happen. Ends with a super, whatever, man. I think that's fair. And in fact, I think Street Fighter 6 came up with a wonderful solution for this. I actually really like the way modern mode auto combos work, from their light hit confirms, the ones that go into supers. You can even go into a level 3. I think that's fine, man. I think that stuff is great because it eventually leads you to this point where, let's say there's like 5 levels to combos in Street Fighter 6. There's a damage penalty straight up. There's already a damage trade-off if you're in modern mode. They're not doing the best combos, dude. They're really not. Like, if you were in their combo trial, these combos would have been like at like level 3, you know? If there was 10, they'd have been pretty low on the totem pole of what is possible on a character, even from like a general perspective and not an optimized perspective. I think that's fine. I think it's cool to see people actually like get some stuff. They landed the hit, bro. You landed the hit, and you're getting actually like a little bit of damage. Anybody else would be getting good damage, like really good damage. Again, there's a reminder, I'm okay with auto combos as long as they suck. If they're clearly not good, clearly like not the best, I think that's totally fine. Totally fine. Ran into a situation where Tokon obviously had auto combos all over the place, but they're not just used for on-hit situations, they're also on block. We were seeing a lot of the same combos from a large majority of people that were playing it, just like a lot of the same scenario, a lot of the same thing happening over and over again. This was a flashback because this also happened in Dragon Ball FighterZ. These things will not apply to the highest level of the game, but for a very large majority of people that are playing them, yeah, you're gonna see the same scenarios sort of play out. Bardock doing this friggin' slam down that is always going to pick up and fix the combo no matter what. And yeah, auto combos are frustrating, especially when they continue on whiff. Like they keep going even on whiff, or they side correct and they do this, and that was happening almost more in the Tokon beta than it was. Deeply frustrating, because even as somebody that was like, oh, so this person's just auto comboing, all right, let me just wait and punish their auto combo, and then they do it again and they just wait and punish their auto combo. It ended up leading to the same scenario and the same thing happening like over and over and over again. And me kind of realizing, why am I going for the good thing when even my general square level 3 or square basic super is doing a shit ton of damage? The reminder, the auto combos were good, and they could also be utilized for really good things even at high level. That's frustrating to me, man. And I think from my perspective as somebody that is like an OG player, not everyone's gonna echo this opinion, but from the Dragon Ball FighterZ situation where they had like utility and you could really use them, it really feels like I am not giving my opponents credit. It makes me sort of like hate everybody I'm playing. And yeah, I definitely had that similar relationship in Dragon Ball where it was like, man, like everybody I play, I just hate them. Because I feel like even if they're good, I see one auto combo and they're just mashing their face against the controller and getting like all of this reward for it. And I'm like, oh God, dude, that bugs me. I don't get it, man. I can't stand it. It really bugs me. And I think there's a deeper level to it too, where the fixing of combos, these auto combos, especially in Tokon and Dragon Ball, fix things. You know how like hit confirms and confirming shit in games that is kind of hard to do that is impressive. Oh, I landed this hit, time to go for this, time to do this. I have a special hit confirm to get them down to the ground, oh yada yada yada. Kind of problem with really good auto combos is that, what's the solution? Just keep hitting that same button. Just mash it. It auto corrects you. It fixes it. It locks you to their position. So that sort of leads to many like hit confirms and cool moments in other games that would take a little while to get better at, of just like, oh, I got the hit there, but my combo sucked. What would I do after? Like, what would be the next thing? You know, instead of just mash square 5 times, you would have to figure out some cool other thing to get them down to the ground or whatever. And the answer for auto combos in this sense is that they're so good that you just do it. You just do it. It leads you to what you want. It auto fixes. It does this thing. Those scenarios just happen like a bit too much. So I think it sort of like poisons the well in moments of giving benefit to the other player, of them discovering stuff and getting better at it, but also like making a lot of those interactions feel samey. There are several games where, like I said, the auto combos are bad. MVCI also had auto combos, but nobody really knows because they just like do a ground combo, an air combo, go into super. Killer Instinct does auto combos all over the place, but Killer Instinct's a lot about decision making. So if you're just mashing in KI, you'll get destroyed. Like, you will get just absolutely destroyed. I think that should happen straight up for this auto combo gripe, which is probably my #1 gripe that's on my mind right now. I think that if somebody is just mashing on block or hit, yeah, like, you should be punished. Like, there should be clear, it should not be necessarily good, and it should be there for people that are just sort of like playing the game early on to see cool things. I think that's completely fine, but when it's actually is good, when it actually is effective and a good thing to use to fix your combos, to do block strings, to do this, I think it starts to lean into a spot where this can be sort of like frustrating. I'm just wanting to get away from it nearly as much as possible. The other two things, number 2 is netcode. And I feel like we're in a situation where most fighting games netcode will not be as big of a problem as it historically has been. But for me personally, man, I would rage, bro. I would rage, especially at Dragon Ball FighterZ, because of you having to deal with things that are constantly in your face, like super dash and instant transmission, and you want to like do something about it. It would be hard to with like 5 to 7 frames of input delay because of delay-based netcode. And the same thing I felt about Ultimate Marvel 3. I had a bad relationship with Marvel 3, man, for a while, because some guy would just pick some character and pop X Factor and kill my whole team, or I would do it to them in a whole bunch of lag and delay, and it would be like, man, I think I hate this game. I think this game genuinely pisses me off. But when we had better net play solutions like Parsec and obviously rollback netcode, where those things you can actually respond to, you can actually play the game somewhat normally with people, it became so much more fun, like way better, because of the netcode being an issue, because your response time is going to be severely compromised. They don't become nearly as bad, and the game's actually a lot more fun because of it. To me, netcode's a big thing that historically has just put me over the edge, man. Sends me to a dark place of just like, I am deeply upset with this game. It is deeply pissing me off. I am continually playing, and even when I'm winning, I'm not feeling good. Bad netcode will certainly do that to me in almost any fighting game. And the last part is like matchmaking and time wasting. Oh man, let's talk about time wasting, dude, and matchmaking. Because matchmaking is one of those things that people don't realize how important it is to fighting games in general. It's a big deal. You want to get your new players the hell away from veteran, if not mid to high level players, as quickly as possible. You want to get those players the hell away from them. I find deep dissatisfaction when I'm just like mashing on people, right? I don't mean mashing buttons. I mean fighting folks that aren't necessarily like great at a game, and I'm just like winning with very little effort. I get it. Some people will find a lot of enjoyment out of like smurfing games like that. For me, it's deeply unsatisfying, dude. I just feel bad. I shouldn't be fighting this person, and I just sort of feel bad. But when I fight against somebody else that is right around my skill level, a little bit below, a little bit higher, if not much higher, there's a clear like, oh damn, this is a bad feeling for me, where even I am running into somebody way higher than me, and damn, they have a much better understanding of this game than I do. Do I feel like I should be fighting this person? Well, I'm gonna learn. I'm gonna lose a lot, but I'm gonna learn. But that for most people will be very dissatisfying. Like, even in my situation, it feels bad to just get rolled by somebody that knows how to utilize everything in a game, and you're just like, I'm just learning here, dude. I'm just starting. That's something that like fighting games have to figure out, and their problem is there's no easy solution for it. You need to have people. You need to have a player pool that exists for a game. You need to have a whole bunch of people to potentially matchmake with and enough data about their habits and their win rates and all that kind of stuff to get you close to the other people that suck just as much as you. And I've talked about this time and time again. That's important, dude. A ton of people got into the Autocombo beta just recently, and they were playing and running into people that are like, why do I feel like I'm fighting players that have been playing this for 2 years? The game's pretty easy to figure out for new players, so it's going to be much easier to figure out for existing players, dude. It's going to be way easier for them to find the dirt of the game if there's few roadblocks on the way to find that dirt. So it's like, yeah, you just have to be ready that you're just going to lose a lot. You're just going to run into people that'll get you messed up. It's something even in 2XKO that I ran into where it's like, damn, I'm fighting people that played all of these betas. This is rough, man. And then I started fighting like some other people that were kind of like new like me, and it's like, okay, yeah, they're doing some things, they're dropping some things just like me. That feels good. That feels like I have reached a nice, wonderful little sweet spot between this entire situation. That matchmaking thing goes side by side with crossplay and how important crossplay is. And I'm so happy that after like bitching about netcode and crossplay for so many years that this is starting to become a standard on the majority of games that we have. It's starting to become like a standard on new fighting games, old fighting games, fresh ones, old ones, like, you know, that are coming back. It was one of the biggest bummers of the Marvel vs. Capcom collection that it did not have crossplay. When you have crossplay, you just have more people to work with, dude. More of a player base, more folks to fight against, more of a chance of you getting somebody that sucks as much as you entered this game. Matchmaking and time wasting. This is a matchmaking concern, but man, when I'm sitting around and I'm not fighting people, I am big mad. Guess what I want to do after losing in a fighting game? I don't want to be looking at menus. I don't want to be waiting for the next battle. I don't want to be looking at trees in Mortal Kombat 1. I don't want this. I want to run back as quickly as possible. I want to get back in and I want to learn and figure this out. I lost, I want to play again. I lost, I want to play again. I lost, maybe you don't want to play again. Maybe you want to get somebody else again. The time wasting bullshit, oh, it was actively making the Fatal Fury beta when we were playing that earlier. There were so many fade to blacks that were happening all the time where it's like, dude, we're not playing the game. We're not doing anything. We're just like waiting for something to happen and then it eventually happens. Like, what is happening in between rounds? It was getting boring. And I'm like, this game feels fun, but I am mad bored right now playing this, just like waiting for shit to happen. That's not good. I feel like that entire process for all fighting games needs to be ironed out. MK1 was a big one with its matchmaking, especially in ranked. Tekken 7 had big problems with that. People literally wasted like years of their life either looking at trees or waiting for the next battle, dude, because all this stuff had to like sync up. And it's a reason why in even games like Street Fighter 6, I haven't done anything else in the game but play ranked. You get matches like constantly, quickly, fast. Like, it's crazy, dude. And does it mean that a whole bunch of people will guarantee that you're gonna matchmake fast? That is not true, dude. That is not a guarantee that you will get matches quicker. Like, we've seen plenty of games that have like 5,000 to 10,000 people playing and you don't get a match for some reason, and I'm like, what's going on? Those are my big things, man. Overbearing auto combos that like sort of dominate a large part of the game in the learning process. Fighting game netcode, not being in direct control of your character or the situation and having that fluctuate, not fun. Sets me over the edge. And last but not least, time wasting matchmaking. Matchmaking in fighting games that takes way too long or isn't necessarily well thought out. Ranked systems that aren't well thought out that will kind of prevent me from playing games for a very long period of time, even if I'm having fun, even if I'm like enjoying things. If I can't fight people, dude, easily, what's the point? The nice part is that a lot of games are tackling these situations and are sort of aware that they exist. Not every game is going to have the solutions or a large enough player base that these will be just immediately fixable, but there absolutely should be things put into place to make moments can be solved, right? We can fix these things. We don't have to do this over and over and over again. Dragon Ball FighterZ matchmaking situation, all that kind of stuff, dude. That's my biggest hope. That's my biggest hope, is that we spend more time just playing fighting games instead of looking at stuff. We're not subject to seeing the same things over and over again, like auto combos and all that kind of stuff. I think it's just too overbearing.